Hey guys, how are you out there? Today I'm crossing another big item off my bucket list. I am here in Estes Park, Colorado, and if you are a fan of Stephen King or The Shining or the book or the movie or the miniseries, I'm finally getting to the Stanley Hotel. It's right behind me. So I'm going to try to take you on a tour of the hotel. I'm going to try to cover a couple of movie locations that were filmed here. Maybe those will be separate videos, just let you see the hotel and all its grandeur, and then get into the fun stuff with the movies. But yeah, the Stanley Hotel! This is what Stephen King considers the Shining Hotel, not the Timberline Lodge in Oregon, not the one in Yosemite that the interiors that were built on the set in England were styled after. This is what he considers the Shining Hotel, because this is where he got the idea for the book. So gonna have fun crossing this one off the bucket list. Come along. Okay, so here I am about to enter. This is the brand new wine bar here at the Stanley Hotel. This only opened last August, so August of 2022. Prior to that, this was an empty room. This is the room where Mrs. Stanley's piano has been preserved back there. We're going to go take a closer look at that. But this is the brand new wine bar. Rather than having this space sit empty, they decided to make use of it and turned it into this really lovely wine bar. Great wine menu, nice wines, nice little snacks that go along with it, charcuterie, wine and cheese. And then over here at the entrance, there's just a sampling of some of their wines. There's this very cool painting done by the owner's aunt, I'm told. It's room 217, the famous Stephen King room, and of course the axe, the famous axe from The Shining. Very beautiful room. Definitely worth checking out if you ever get out here and you enjoy wine, is the wine bar at the Stanley Hotel. And if the wine isn't good enough, it has amazing views of the Rocky Mountains right outside these windows. Just spectacular. Perfect place to sit and chill with a lovely glass of wine. That right down there, that is the hedge maze that was built in 2015, a bit of a nod to the movie. They are about 6 feet tall right now, so I don't think your life is in jeopardy if you go in there. Looks like there's a few people enjoying it right now. But it is a really nice homage to the movie. And over here, if you are a guest of the wine room here, you have this really lovely, aw, cute little doggy, front porch area where you can sit and have your wine as well. More amazing views. How about that? Woo! Just incredible. Here's a more up-close view of Mrs. Stanley's piano. Okay, the nice man over here, he turned on the lights so I can get a better look at it. So I'm being told some stories here. I'm being told that at times, even with the keyboard cover down, you might hear a little plink, plink, plink. They say it's Mrs. Stanley. Another gentleman here told me that she hates chopsticks, and if you try to play chopsticks, she lets her distaste be known. One man, while he was playing chopsticks, the keyboard cover mysteriously slammed down on his hands and broke some of his fingers. So, believe it, don't believe it, but that's what they have to say.
He believed it.
He believed it. Mrs. Stanley's piano. It's from 1909, they were telling me. Look at that. Right outside the wine bar is this really lovely veranda, kind of overlooking the parking lot. Some people are enjoying some wine out here. It's a beautiful day, and of course, off in the distance, you can see the Rockies beyond the trees. So, beautiful spot to sit and sip your wine from the wine room here at the Stanley. This is the McGregor room. Originally, it was the dining room for the Stanley Hotel. Today, it is used for private events such as weddings. Back in 1911, during a large storm, the head housekeeper, Mrs. Wilson, was lighting the lanterns in room 217 above the McGregor room when there was an explosion. She was blasted through the floor into this dining room. She survived with only broken ankles. Today, it is said that she spends most of her afterlife still taking care of the room. This is also the room Stephen King dined in the night he spent at the Stanley Hotel. More about that later. This is the billiard room, and there is in fact a billiard table on the other side of the wall just beyond the chairs. Past that is the hallway that leads to the rooms, including mine. Many of the tours will stop here to tell some of the stories of the Stanley Hotel. Alright, so if you're curious if any of the so-called ghost stories are true, or actually what they are, this little page gives you some information on some of the spirits that inhabit a few rooms. So, if you would like to encounter a spirit, maybe you make a reservation for one of these rooms. And if you're a chicken like me, maybe you don't. Very interesting stories. And there's more on the back. Wow. Room 401, 407, people have reported being tucked in this room. A little boy said that he kept kicking his covers off and they kept coming back up throughout the night. Oh dear. And then room 413. Several guests have reported seeing a man dressed in old-fashioned clothes standing in the corner of the room. The face of a man in a blue ball has also been seen on the outside door. Okay, so the 4th floor apparently is where a lot of stuff has happened. It used to be an open attic where children would play and run, and that is where they say they get reports daily of guests hearing the sound of children running and playing, but there's no children there. So the 4th floor, you know, if that's your thing, come and stay. Shirts, 3/4 shorts, Stanley jackets over here. Kind of a puff jacket with Stanley on it. Stanley Hotel. And then a nice Sherpa, that's it. Here's some more. These are soft, like fabric type jackets that zip up and say the Stanley Hotel. So those are really nice. Good for any weather. And here is where we have some mementos from The Shining. We have redrum, mugs, water bottles, wine glasses, shot glasses, even coasters, and flasks, keys for room 217, playing cards. Anything you need for a Shining memento is here. And now here is the 217 section, coffee mugs and water bottles with 217 on them, and Stanley Hotel on wine glasses. Little ghosts, and caps. I'm pretty sure you can find most of this on their online gift shop. And here's some more t-shirts, and this one's a nice sweatshirt, super soft. One of those is definitely going home with me. So, definitely a gift shop worth checking out when you are in the area. Anything you could need is here. So walking around the Stanley, you can work up quite an appetite, and they have a restaurant, a really lovely restaurant here called the Cascades Restaurant, and it is definitely the solution to your hunger. About to dive into this lovely salmon dish. So the Cascades restaurant at the Stanley Hotel. This looks really, really yummy. Beautifully presented. Looking forward to this. All right, I just checked in, and the corridor in which my room is off of a little courtyard with a patio, little water feature. So I just came in that door, up these stairs, and here is the hallway in which my room is in. So we're gonna go check it out. I'm gonna go take a look at it. Bring you along with me. Right on the end. Actually looks like I can go right out those doors. This is my room. 108. But yeah, I could go right out those doors, and there's another parking lot out back. But for now, let's take a look at room 108. I did not get room 217. No way. Wasn't gonna do it. Walk in, they have the TV on for me already. The air conditioning is blowing on high. Nice ceiling fan. Keep me cool. There's my bed. Looks pretty comfy. Oh yeah, that looks good. Looks great. Here's a little sitting area. That looks really comfy. Nice TV, little coffee maker for the morning coffee. That's a must. Another view, that little outdoor patio area. Let's see what we have over here. Place to put my luggage. Here we go. Oh, nice. Have a nice little view of this little pretty garden area. That's pretty. Kind of private, semi-private. Yeah, this is it. My room at the Stanley Hotel. Cannot believe I'm staying here. This is a bucket list item for sure. Oh wow, it is big. It is very big. This looks like a really good sized shower. Oh yeah. Got some nice Stanley bath products there. One of those rain mist shower heads. That looks great. Big double sink. There's me. Towels. Nice amenities. I'm at the Stanley Hotel. Well, since I arrived, this place has been hopping. This is a place where people come just to check it out during the day, even if they're not staying. So it's been very busy. It's kind of nice to have a little quiet right now before I go on my shining hotel tour. So that is my room, and I think that's gonna do. So here I am at the famous Stanley Hotel out here in Estes Park, Colorado. And I just finished the Shining tour, and I learned quite a few things. I wanted to try and see if I can put them to memory here. So, you know, everybody knows that this is where Stephen King stayed and was inspired to write The Shining. He and his wife, you know, children, you know, married life, kind of needed some time away, and he just needed a break. They had children ever since they got married. They already had a child, and he was going through some writer's block, and of course he was suffering from alcoholism. So some friends said, let's just get in the car and go for a drive and see where we end up. And it brought him through this area towards the Rocky Mountains, and I'm probably not remembering every detail the tour guide gave us, but we're not allowed to record the tour guide. So went to the Rocky Mountains, and he saw a road that had a sign that said, this road is not plowed after the first snowfall. Look at that place. Oh my gosh. So beautiful and majestic. So yeah, this road is not plowed after the first snowfall, and it just kind of got his wheels going. Oh wow, what it'd be like to, you know, be around here and you're stranded. He started thinking about the Donner Party and all of that. So they kind of turned around and were headed back to Boulder when he saw this hotel, and he thought, let's go check it out. Well, it did not look anything like this at that time. At that time, it was pretty run down, in really bad shape. Some of the windows were boarded up. It was not good. Definitely in a state of disrepair, and totally up Stephen King's alley. So he came here and he said, you know, can we spend the night? Well, they actually kind of said no, because in real life, back at that time, this place really was closed in the winter, just like the Overlook Hotel in The Shining. They didn't have central heat, so it was only open, I think they said, 4 months out of the year. So they closed on October 1st, and he was here on September 30th, and it started snowing, and so they kind of like took pity on him, according to the tour guide, and said, okay, you can stay if you can pay cash, because they had already turned in all their credit card receipts to the bank. And so they ended up getting to stay. And if that didn't happen, we might not have The Shining. Wow. So that wasn't enough, right? He's like, well, I'm your hotel guest. I need to have you need to feed me dinner. You got to have some dinner for me. So they set up this banquet room, which I got to go in. They set a table up in the middle of the room and set up a table for two. I mean, there was nobody here, nobody. And him and his wife, you know, they fed them dinner. And he said that room just felt creepy. He felt like there were 1,000 eyes looking at him. Oh, jeez. Did I mention I'm spending the night here? I'm challenging myself to spend the night here. So his wife was not very happy. She said, that's it. I've had it. I'm going to bed. She went to bed, and he went to the bar. And there was a bartender there named, you guessed it, Lloyd. And he spent the next 6 hours drinking with this bartender, telling him all of these ghost stories about the hotel, about this bachelor character that was some kind of creepy dude, and people report feeling him crawling into bed with them, his ghost, his spirit, whatever. And there was a dog, but it was a golden retriever who's actually buried here on the property. There's actually a pet cemetery on the property of the Stanley Hotel. You think that had something to do with the pet cemetery book? I don't know. This is the pet cemetery at the Stanley Hotel, which some believe inspired the pet cemetery book. This is where Mr. Stanley buried his pets. Right there. Anyway, they proceeded to drink for 6 hours while Lloyd filled Stephen King's head with all these ghost stories. And the tour guide said that at this altitude, one drink is like the equivalent of 3. So by the time he was done with that, he was pretty snookered, and he decided to go up to bed, and he collapsed into bed and passed out. And what the tour guide said is after 30 minutes, he woke up stone cold sober, and he saw his son in the hallway being kind of strangled by a fire hose. You know, they used to have fire hoses on the wall, and this fire hose had wrapped itself around his son and was strangling him like almost like a boa constrictor. And it freaked him out, and he didn't know what to do, and he was screaming, calling for help. And he woke up and he realized that it was a dream, that his son is safe and sound back in Boulder, because again, this was just a getaway for Stephen and his wife. By the way, the tour guide showed us a photo of what Stephen King looked like back then. It'll give you Charles Manson vibes a little bit, just a little bit. So somebody like that walking into a hotel saying, you gotta let me stay the night. I don't know. It must have been something. Anyway, he realized it was a dream, and he started screaming, and his wife woke up and she was not happy, and she kicked him out. He went and sat out on the balcony. And he started seeing all these ghost stories as an analogy for his alcoholism. And by the time he was done sitting that night on the balcony having some type of cigarette, What kind? Your guess is as good as mine. He had kind of written the beginning, the middle, and the end of the book. And he realized that he needed to get sober. And he ended up writing a letter to his wife, kind of explaining everything that had gone through his mind that night with that dream, and how he realized, you know, these spirits that haunt him, that make him drink. Like something about the ghost stories that he had heard here made him realize how he was being haunted by his own demons, and that he needed to get sober. And he did. And then he fell off, got sober again, fell off. You know how that goes. And eventually he got completely clean. I know he's been clean for a long time. So that was the story of how Stephen King came to stay here, and how we ended up with The Shining book, which led to the movie and the miniseries. And he did convince the owners of the Stanley Hotel to fix it up. He felt this place is very special to him. He was very upset that The Shining was not filmed here. Very, very upset that Kubrick decided to use that hotel in Oregon for the exterior and then build a set in England. So anyway, he really encouraged the owners here to get this place fixed up and filed to have it be a place on the National Registry, a historic place. So Stephen King and the Stanley Hotel have a very special bond. But that's the story of Stephen King and the Stanley Hotel, and how The Shining came to be. And I'm actually staying here tonight. Did I mention that? I'm a little freaked, just a little. Oh my God. If anything happens, I'm pulling out this camera and filming it. Steve. So now that I've told you the story of Stephen King, I wanted to show you the balcony. That is the balcony. That's the balcony to room 217. That's the balcony that he stepped out on that night. I had the idea for the Shining, the beginning, middle, and the end. It was pretty much formulated in his mind. Kudos to Stephen. That's his balcony. Wow. Whew. I don't think I could stay in that room. I'm scared enough just staying at this hotel tonight. Yikes. It's just a little bit to the right of the entrance to the hotel. There's this lovely little pond with this sculpture in it, with the beautiful backdrop of the Rocky Mountains behind it. It's really pretty. The pond does go down behind that sculpture. It looks like it goes down another level. Maybe I'll go take a walk down there and check it out. Wow, this is really pretty and serene. Looks like a man and woman about to kiss, but it has a ghostly aura about it. Whew. Here's another view of it with the Rocky Mountains behind it. There's a little bit of a waterfall over there, a little trickle. There is a pool over here. This is pool house, but it's covered up. It's not open, so I don't know what the deal is with that. If that's a leftover of COVID or... All right, so anybody who has seen The Shining is aware of the hedge maze, right? But you also know that was a set. That hedge maze was not real. It does not exist at the Timberline Lodge over there in Oregon. That was used for the exterior. It was just manufactured on the set. So for years, people were coming here to the Stanley Hotel and asking everybody, where is that hedge maze? Year after year after year after year, and they would say, well, there is no hedge maze. It was fictional. It was on a set. It's not really here. And in 2015, I think they finally had enough. They're like, fine, you want a hedge maze? We'll build you a hedge maze. And they did. So let me show you. This is it. This is the entrance. I'm going to zoom out a little. The tour guide told us that this is actually the third rendition. The first one, the bushes only came to about knee-high, and the elk in the area proceeded to eat them all down to the ground. The second one was also about knee-high, and they put, oops, I'm trapped. I've reached the end of this one. I better backtrack. So they replanted, and the second one was also about, 3 feet high, and they put that wire around it, chicken wire, thinking that would keep the elk away. But it didn't work. The elk learned they could stand on top, and they could still eat the plants. And so they did, and they ate them to the ground. Huh. Do I go that way or that way? I guess I'll go this way. So finally they put in these, and as you can see, these are a little bit above my head. So these are probably about, I'm 5'4", so these are probably about 6 foot tall. And these have lasted. These have stood the test of time. Sorry about that glare there. But yeah, it's an actual hedge maze. He said it takes about 3 minutes to go through the whole thing, unless you've been spending too much time in the hotel bar, in which case it might take you a couple of hours. This is pretty cool. So I could see that leads out over there. This seems to lead out over there. Let's see. Let's see where it takes me. Doing okay. I'm not trapped. That goes back to the entrance. I could just go back to the entrance and walk that way. But nah, I want to keep going. I just don't want to run into a frozen stiff Jack Torrance. It was like 100 degrees here today, so I don't think that would be possible. Let's go this way. Let's see where it leads. Oh, it just took me in a circle. Okay, good. I didn't get stuck. It just took me in a circle. Here's a good look of it with the hotel in the background. The hotel backdrop, the hedge maze in front. I think this is pretty freaking cool. A really nice homage to the movie, a real nice nod. They definitely embrace their shining history here. That is great. Well, here it seems like I'm kind of trapped, but I'm gonna cheat a little. I want to go see this statue. That is Mr. Stanley. Wow. Nature has endowed Estes Park in a wonderful manner. The grandeur of its scenery, its deep blue skies, its clear, cool, and invigorating air, mountain streams, sparkling soft water. Its sunny days and delightful cool nights are things a summer visitor never forgets, and having enjoyed once, desires to enjoy again. 1928. There he is. F.O. Stanley, the original owner of the Stanley Hotel. Here is the back of that statue, and it reads, "The legacy of F.O. Stanley in Estes Park is far larger and more enduring than any of the historic structures that bear his name. It is a legacy that extends to community and region and to the dreams of a remarkable man," oh gosh, it's hard to read that, "who through ingenuity, courage, and persistence found ways to harness the emerging technological forces of the 20th century to make those dreams a reality." And that quote is from James H. Pickering, the historian. I can't say that word. Laureate? Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. But there's the back of him with the Rocky Mountains ahead of him. All right, we're gonna see if we can get out of here now. Hope I'm not trapped. Such a beautiful backdrop. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. Is this gonna let us out? Oh, little muddy. Little muddy. Step around the mud. I think we might be okay. I think this might let us out. What? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Let's go see if I can get out this way. There it is. Ta-da! I did it. I survived the Stanley Hotel hedge maze. Woohoo! So here I am in my room at the Stanley Hotel. And I realized I forgot something. I think I told you the whole story about Stephen King and how, you know, he got the idea for The Shining here. And I told you about that night when he spent 6 hours talking to the bartender Lloyd, and Lloyd filled him up with all the ghost stories about the hotel. I started to tell you about two of the spirits that Lloyd told him about. And one was a man, they call him the Bachelor, who was a ladies' man and supposedly goes around touching women or climbing into bed with them or something, things like that, a bit of a Lothario. And then there was Cassie. I could not remember her name. Cassie was a dog, and she's buried in that pet cemetery. And so he heard the story about the Bachelor, who is one of the spirits. I guess he's considered maybe not one of the nicest ones because what he does with women. And then there's Cassie, who Cassie every day used to go around and deliver everybody their papers and scratch on their doors with her paw to deliver their papers. So he heard the legends of the Bachelor and he heard the legend of Cassie, and he wrote them into the book. That is what I left out. In the scene in the movie where you see a man in a kind of a dog suit and you see another man and there's something maybe questionable going on, that's the Bachelor and Cassie. So two of the spirits from the Stanley Hotel that he learned about that night, he actually wrote them into the book. Oh, and speaking of Cassie, there are people who stay in the lodge where she delivered her papers that say to this day, around 6 in the morning, they hear a dog scratching at their door. Just passing it on. So this is actually like the backside of where I'm staying. My room is, as soon as you go in that door down there, it's the first room on the right, room 108. And what's really nice is, yes, there's stairs. I'm a little out of breath with the altitude here. There is a parking lot right here. So it's nice. It's a lot less crowded than the front parking lot. You could see there's a ramp that goes to the 2nd floor and stairs that go up to the 3rd floor and the 4th floor. But you could not pay me to stay there because I've heard that's the floor where people are complaining daily about children running up and down the hallway, playing, making noise, and there's no children there. So I would not be staying on that floor for sure. I'm glad my room is right by the door. I could always make a quick getaway. Look at this. The people you love become ghosts inside of you, and like this, you keep them alive. That is true. As long as you remember your loved ones, you keep them in your thoughts, they are still with you. That is how you keep them alive. That is how you keep their memory alive. And that is how you don't have to be without them. So, very cool. Very cool little garden here. And here's that water feature from the bottom. Nice little waterfall. Really pretty to listen to as you're sitting over there, maybe having your meal or adult beverage or non-adult beverage. Looks like this is actually a wishing well. There's all kinds of coins in the bottom of it, so I know what I'll wish for, but I do not see anything odd tonight in my stay here. That's what I'm wishing for. So right now we are in the concert hall that F.O. Stanley had built for his wife, who was a concert pianist, who had great dreams and aspirations that never came true as far as like performing with the Boston Symphony. So he built her this concert hall. Many famous names have performed on this stage. I know he mentioned John Denver, Harry Houdini, Johnny Cash, many others. So. And sometimes he said you can see Mr. Stanley and his wife still sitting up there in their balcony where they used to watch all the shows from. I don't know, not today. All right, so right now we are in a building that was called the boys' dorm. This is where a lot of boys used to stay back in the day. And now, well, they can't because there's just too many odd happenings here. Too many people just accidentally getting locked in with no explanation. Tour guides have gotten locked in here. Construction crew people have gotten locked in here. And most recently, in 2020, there was a man working on that electric pipe you see up there. And he turned around and he thought he saw two glowing eyes looking at him. Thought he imagined it, went back to his work, turned around again. The glowing eyes were closer, went back to his work, turned around the third time, and now the glowing eyes were jotting, kind of going towards him in a rapid movement. He ran upstairs. He was locked in. The door would not open for him. Totally inexplicable. Ran upstairs and jumped out a second-story window to escape from this being, whatever it was. Two glowing eyes and a shadowy figure. He broke his ankles. From jumping out that window. Went to the hospital. He was unconscious when they found him. The next day, he recanted the story for everybody, and then he disappeared. And nobody knows where he is until this day. Did I get that about right? The tour guide cannot be recorded, so tried to repeat what he said. That's it, the boys' dorm. And the condition of this building, by the way, is pretty much the condition of the entire Stanley property at the time Stephen King stayed here and was inspired to write The Shining. The place was not in good condition at the time. It looked pretty much like this. Floor number 2 for room 217. Let's go. This is the second floor. This is beautiful. I believe 217 is at the end of a corridor. I think I saw a photo. Just imagine these floors. These are floors Stephen King walked on that night he stayed here all those years ago. So this is the infamous room 217 that Stephen King stayed in that night. Even has a plaque on the door, the Stephen King suite. But in the movie The Shining, you might have noticed that they called it room 237. And that's because at the time, the hotel didn't think they wanted a real room number at the Stanley Hotel to be associated with the movie. There is no 237 here, so they just felt more comfortable having a fake room number. They didn't want people to be afraid to come here and stay in room 217. Little did they know it was going to have the complete opposite effect, and people are clamoring to stay in this room. They booked this out like years in advance. But that's it, 217. Are you staying there?
Yeah.
This is it. This is room 217. These folks are staying there and they've invited me in. This is it, huh?
Yeah.
Hi. How do you like the room?
I like it. It's nice.
Do you feel anything going on?
No, I haven't felt anything.
A little girl saw a monster in the bathroom, and another kid felt weird over there, but...
Saw a monster in the bathroom?
Yeah. Would believe the little girl before anybody else, but...
I don't know. I just went on the ghost tour and I'm a little freaked out by all of this.
I haven't seen anything.
So this would have been Stephen King's bathroom that night. I mean, obviously...
I've got my holy water and my cross, so...
Show me that again. Holy water and cross. I love it. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's different furniture since then. I'm sure it's a new mattress and probably a new bed, but...
And all these rooms were connected, that one, and this.
Oh yeah? They were? Are those your books or were they...
No, those were all there when we came, yeah.
There's a Stephen King
That.
Stephen King library in room 217. Check that out. Oh, and there's more down there. Wow, this is crazy. Zoom in. There we go.
Our neighbors are being funny over there.
Wow. This is the room Stephen King stayed in, everybody.
Crazy, huh?
It is insane. Thank you so much for letting me come in.
You're welcome.
That was room 217. That was room 217. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Wow. The room that inspired a franchise. Wow. It's crazy. Crazy good. Let's see what else is up here. I don't know how good this will be because I'm filming this through the door, but this is the room that they have the seances in. It's up here on the second floor. Actual seances. You can see the seance cards on the table. Holy moly. I was too chicken. I couldn't do it. But that's it. Seance room at the Stanley. Well, I was a little curious what the hedge maze would be like at night. It's a little creepy, honestly. There's no lights out here. You can't see what's around the next corner. Yeah, I don't know. I just did a ghost tour, and now this. It's definitely got a creepy vibe. I'm not staying. I checked it out. So this is the lobby of the beautiful Stanley Hotel at night. It's about 11:30. Looks like most people have gone to bed. So if you ever wondered what the Stanley Hotel looks like on the inside, this is it. Here is the bar and restaurant. Had a really nice lunch there earlier. McGregor room used to be, I guess, a dining room. They hold special events in there. There's even a little bit of a stage back there. Told that the key for room 217 up there, I think it's the fourth one from the right on the top row, is the only key that faces a different direction than the other keys. And it's the original key from 1909. All the others are fake, and that would have been the key that Stephen King would have used the night he checked into his room. How about that? Oh, and by the way, if you're wondering why they put him in room 217, it was a suite, and it was the only room that still had sheets on the bed since they were closing for the winter. So that's it. That's how 217 became the legend that it is. It just happened to be the only room that had sheets. How crazy is that? And what do you see behind me there? I'm gonna show you. In the Shining mini-series, in the front lawn, there was a miniature replica of the Stanley Hotel. A dollhouse, perhaps? I don't know, maybe a child could fit inside there, probably. So this is the actual miniature Stanley Hotel that was in the front lawn during the filming of the Shining miniseries here at the Stanley Hotel. It's the real deal. On this board down here on the lower level that gives the whole history of the hotel. Everything from how it started. The Stanley Hotel actually filed for bankruptcy in 1994. Dumb and Dumber was filmed here, and then it was listed on the National Historic Registry. The Shining feature film is released in 1980, and in 1977, of course, the book was published. 1974 is when Stephen King spent his night here in room 217. That started the whole kit and caboodle. And down here it says in 1940, F.O. Stanley died at the age of 91, and his wife passed away at 92 in Estes Park. It's very interesting. Very interesting. That gas explosion in 1911 is supposedly the cause of some of the spirits that still inhabit this building. This is interesting. There's a whole display here of artifacts. And this is saying that room 217 was originally a suite of 4 rooms. Pictured here is one of the rooms from the suite early in the hotel's history. Note the wallpaper, furniture, and decorations from the 20th century. Wow. Also down here on the lower level of the hotel is the vault, which is a whiskey tasting room. It hasn't been open in the time I've been around here, so I think it might be by appointment only. But if you're into whiskey and whiskey tasting, the vault is definitely going to be something that would be of interest to you. It looks really swanky. All right, what else? Last but not least, there is the Stanley Chocolate Factory. That looks really appetizing. It's so hot here though, if I bought any of that, it would melt before I get to my next destination. So. Well, I made it. I made it through a night at the Stanley Hotel. Honestly, I wasn't after that ghost tour last night. Oh, some kind of bug flying around. After that ghost tour last night, I actually got like a little queasy and nauseous and sick to my stomach. I don't know. There were things that were felt. There were all kinds of things that were said. Believe them or not, I don't know. It was like really, it was spookier than I thought it would be. And I was ready for it to be over. It was good, don't get me wrong, but after hearing story after story, I was ready for it to be over. So, I made it through the night, yes. Never thought in my life I would stay here. Now, did I have the best night's sleep of my life? No. No, I didn't. So, but that's okay. That's okay. That's all part of the experience. I was up until about 1 in the morning down in the lobby taking pictures and shooting videos after everybody went to bed. So
had the whole place to myself. It was great. It was great. So, gotta get up and face the new day. But I made it. I am so glad to think that F.O. Stanley came here because he was diagnosed with tuberculosis. Is that how you say it? He thought the Colorado mountain air would be good for him. And then, I guess he was cured. Then he built all of this. Starting with that ballroom. I guess it started, or dining room. It started with that, and then he built the hotel around it. So, just wanted to tell you, I made it through a night at Stanley. Woo!
It's a beautiful morning here at the Stanley Hotel. I was talking to one of the front desk clerks last night, and he told me there was one night where there was a vase here, a very, very heavy vase filled with marbles, very difficult, very heavy, not easy to move. And all of a sudden, that vase levitated off the table and flew across the room as if somebody had picked it up and flung it with massive force all the way across the room. Now, it is in front of the front doors, but he said the doors were closed and there was no wind. So that's just one of some of the spooky stories I have heard here. Now this is an interesting little area. Now, this is behind the hotel. The hotel's up there, and there's some other buildings back here, some other types of residences. There's a caretaker's cottage. And I noticed that the concrete floor here is stamped, I guess, or painted, I'm not exactly sure, to look like the carpet from The Shining, from the hotel. Which I also learned yesterday during the tour, which I guess I should have known. These are all basically stop signs. So the pattern in the rug that we saw, those are stop signs. That was, they were telling Danny to stop. They were telling Danny to stop what he was doing and probably get the heck out of Dodge, right? So that's pretty cool. It's a nice little courtyard here off of some of these residences. They took us inside that on the tour yesterday, and it is exquisite inside. But it was not exquisite back in the day. Back when the whole place was kind of in a dilapidated state. It was completely refurbished, and it looks beautiful. And inside there is a bedroom that contains a bathroom that is a replica of the, room 217, ladies' bathroom, the green bathroom. And that color green, they told us, is used by movie makers when you're not supposed to look at something. Interesting. And also, it turns out that in the filming of the scene where Jack is, he's got a knife and he's breaking through the door, they had told him that that was going to be like a prop axe. Did I say knife? I meant axe. And then they surprised him on the day of filming. First of all, he had to get rip-roaring drunk, I guess, to do the scene. I did not know that. I learned that yesterday. So he was kind of intoxicated. And when he went to film it, it was an actual axe. So he actually did have to pound and pound and pound away at that door. I think they said it took about 50 takes. He injured himself doing that. 50 takes, really breaking through that door with an actual axe. So the next day, they had to film the scene in the maze where he was supposed to carry the axe again. And he couldn't. His arm hurt so bad from what they did to him. And he said he needed to quit working. He needed to go to a doctor or a hospital or something. And Kubrick said no. He was working these people hard to get that performance out of him that he wanted. So they actually did give him a foam axe to carry on that day because he could not bear the weight of a real axe. And it was sort of affixed to his hand somehow. So he didn't even have to really grip it as he made his way through those hedge maze scenes. So that, rubber, if you will, axe is now stored inside a locked safe inside the cottage. The actual axe. Pretty cool. This is the lower level of the hotel, and there is a store here called Colorado Cherry Company that has everything cherry. Cherry coffee, cherry baked goods, cherry jerky, it looks like. Cherry everything, cherry sauces, of course, coffee, all kinds of yummy products. I might have to come back here before I check out and get something to take home. Cherry blossom latte. Ooh, sounds good. In here is this nice little seating area where you can sit and enjoy your yummy cherry goods. As I knew I would, I paid a little pit stop over here to the Colorado Cherry Company. Got some chocolate covered cherry flavored coffee. Sounds delicious. Coke Zero for the road. And a slice of cherry pie. That's my breakfast today. You know, went on vacation, right? Here where you go to take the tours, there's this exhibit. The Shining poster. Gosh, signed by Jack Nicholson himself. Wow. So right next to the Stanley Hotel, in fact, that awning leads to the Stanley Hotel, to the lower level. There's this other one. It's called the Lodge. It's a little less expensive to stay in, and it's basically a miniature Stanley Hotel. We were told on the tour that it was built sort of by accident because Mr. Stanley found out that at that time, I guess men weren't allowed to stay in the same hotel as women, if I recall correctly. So he had to build a separate building just for the men. And this is the building where Cassie would deliver the newspapers to all the men that were staying inside the lodge. Old time looking car, the Stanley Hotel on it. And here is the lodge, and inside here is a restaurant called Brunch and Company, open for breakfast and lunch. As you can see, this is a lot smaller than the main hotel. Looks a little bit more contemporary. The elevator is certainly more contemporary. It has a similar flight of stairs going up to the second story as the main hotel, but different, very, very similar. Again, it's like a miniature version of the Stanley Hotel, right next door at the lodge. This is the other side of the lobby. It looks very nice and quaint. And over there is the restaurant, Brunch and Company. Looks really nice. Everybody's enjoying breakfast this morning in Estes Park. So that's the lodge. So if you want to stay at the Stanley, but you want a somewhat more economical option, this is definitely one of those. It'll work for you. Gonna go check out the back. I was just talking to the lady up front, and she said that this was actually built in 1911. And yeah, at that time, single men, I guess, could not stay in the same hotel as women. Now, if you were a married man, of course you could stay with your wife in the main hotel, but single men could not. So for a long time, she said they slept out here in tents on the back lawn. Now, I'm sure it looked different in 1911, but that's where, well, actually the back lawn of the main hotel, I should say, until they built this hotel. And then this became the place where the single men would stay. Now the tour guide last night said they slept on the front lawn in tents. So I don't know, front lawn, back lawn. The point is they could not stay in the main hotel if they were a single guy. So 2 years after he built the main hotel, he built this smaller one, which is an exact mini replica of the Stanley for the single guys. And some people claim they still hear a dog scratching at their door at 6 a.m. to this day. Cassie delivering her morning newspaper. On the job, as always. Look at that mountain view. Wow. Is that spectacular? What? Wow. Looks like there's some kind of blanket here. Tapestry? Quilt? Colorado tradition since 1909. Ooh, this is pretty. Not sure what this is for, if it's just an area to hang out. I don't see a bar, but I guess there could be. Just a nice little area to hang out at night. Do whatever you like to do. Read, have a cocktail. And this would be the hallway to the rooms at the lodge, or at least to some of them. This is really nice. And just like the main Stanley, there's a beautiful terrace that you can access from several different points. Not here right now. This is locked. And there's that music room, that concert hall that Mr. Stanley had built for his wife. She'd always wanted to be a concert pianist, but it wasn't going to happen. So he built her own place. And it was supposedly modeled after one of the Boston music symphony buildings. They were not sure which one. Well, I'm working my way back to the Stanley, and I almost missed this. This is a rose garden. It's back here kind of on the side of the Stanley, between the Stanley and the lodge. I know I was up there yesterday looking at some gardens up there, but I did not realize there was a whole rose garden here. Wow. What a beautiful spot. Got some chairs. Nice place to sit out here and chillax. Very pretty. Very pretty. Well, I had a fabulous time, and now it's time to go. Time to go. Bye, Stanley Hotel. The grand staircase. On my way to my next adventure.